Hey everybody, my name's Courtney and I'm a senior keeper here at Stone Zoo. And for today's Zoo to You, we're going to talk about our American alligator. So our American alligator is hanging out behind us. He just had some lunch. So he's digesting 2 rats right now. American alligators are one of 23 living crocodilian species. We have 2 in the United States. We have American alligators and American crocodiles. What you're going to find most in the U.S. is the American alligators. American crocodiles are pretty rare. These guys live from North Carolina all the way to the Rio Grande in Texas. You'll find them most abundant in places like Florida. They prefer freshwater, slow-moving rivers or marshes or lakes or swamps. These guys can get pretty big, so you'll see our gator is about 6 to 7 feet. We estimate that he's probably about 7 years old. Males can get over 11 feet and females can get over 8 feet. Some large males have been reported at 1,000 pounds. So that's a pretty fierce predator. These guys have an exceptional amount of bite force, so they're very good at crushing prey and ripping large chunks off of things. They will hunt, but they will also take advantage of things like carrion. These guys don't have a lot of muscles to open their jaw, so a lot of times you'll see if somebody needs to restrain a gator, you can hold their jaws shut pretty easily, but you want to make sure you keep those fingers far away from those teeth. They have 70 to 80 teeth in their mouths, and they're constantly damaging and shedding these teeth, so they can go through about 3,000 teeth in their lifetime. We actually find teeth in the bottom of the pool when we clean it periodically. These guys have, and you'll see all those bumps all along their body. They actually have something called osteoderms in them, so they're bones that are actually built into those scales, and that serves as some protection for them. See, he's walking around. These guys are capable of walking, running, jumping, climbing. One of the myths that people hear is that if you run in a zigzag, you can avoid an alligator that's chasing you. That's not true. They can run in a zigzag. They can run pretty quickly, so your best bet is to leave them alone. They are afraid of people and they don't want to interact with you. So as long as you give them plenty of space, you're going to be perfectly fine. These guys breed in April and May, and females will dig these huge nests that are can be up to 10 feet wide, and they'll lay about 90 eggs in those nests, and then they will protect those nests. Female alligators are one of the only reptiles that perform a lot of parental care. So they will protect their eggs, and when the baby gators are ready to start hatching out, they'll actually start pipping from inside their eggs. So the mom gator will hear that and help excavate the nests and get them out, and then will continue to protect her young. She'll even carry them very gently in her jaw out into the water. And those young will stay around in her territory for a few years, and she will keep them safe. About 80% of juvenile alligators will not make it to adulthood due to predation, so that protection that she offers them is really, really important.
What are those predators?
So a juvenile alligator is less than a foot long. So anything from larger alligators, snakes, birds, bobcats, raccoons, anything that you can imagine that lives in the Florida Everglades is going to be able to eat those for the most part. A lot of times small alligators will pick off the juvenile, the new babies, because they're easy prey.
Do adult alligators have any predators to worry about?
Adult alligators don't really have any predators except for humans. They will fight over territory, so they can occasionally get severe injuries. But a lot of times you'll see gators with tons of scars, missing limbs, missing sections of tail, missing sections of jaw. They're very resilient, so even though they do fight and they can get really horrible injuries, that's not necessarily going to kill them. These guys were hunted pretty extensively for a long time, so their numbers were hurting, but their numbers have sprung back up now, so they're doing pretty good.
One of the questions is if they are endangered, so they are not.
They are, I believe they're still listed as threatened, but they are not endangered anymore. Their numbers have gone a long way, and they are protected. So a lot of states, you need permits, you cannot touch them, you cannot do anything unless you are certified by the state to do anything. Their cousins, I guess you could call them, the American crocodile, is threatened and endangered. Their numbers are really hurting.
What's the easiest way to tell the difference between a croc and an alligator?
So the easiest way to tell the difference is alligators have wide, round snouts, and crocodiles have really long, narrow snouts. Crocodiles also have 2 teeth, one on either side, that sticks outside of their jaw when their mouth is shut. So if you look at the alligator, you can't really see a lot of teeth, but crocodiles you'll be able to see a bunch.
Someone asked, how long do they live?
They can live up to 50 years, but with a lot of reptiles, their true lifespan isn't really known because in places like zoos, they get all the medical care, all the food that they need. So we're finding out that they can actually live a lot longer than we thought, but in the wild, it's about 50 years.
How can you tell males and females apart?
You cannot, unless they're like an 11 foot, then you're gonna assume that's a male. But other than that, you cannot tell outwardly. You actually have to look inside of them to figure that out.
Do you have any tips for if our guests come and they don't spot our alligator right away?
Most of the time he's hanging out in the front right corner of the exhibit, but if you don't see him there, look in the water. So alligators will sit in the water and you'll see just their nostrils and their eyes hanging out above the water, sometimes maybe their back. So look for that. That's kind of one of their stalking modes, is kind of how they hang out in the water.
Do you guys do any training with them at all?
We do train our gator. He is in the process of learning. So when we feed him, he's in the process of learning that he needs to be on the concrete pad to get fed instead of running at us at the door. It's going okay.
Oh, we had a question. What is his name?
His name is King Billy.
And how old is he?
We think he's probably about 7 years old.
I think we're running out of time, but are there any last gator facts or things you want people to know?
The easiest way to stop them is eye shine.
Yeah, one of the easiest ways to spot them is if you're in the swamps at night, if you shine a flashlight, their eyes will reflect. And most gator myths you hear are not true. They have good eyesight, they have good sense of smell, they can chase you, they can climb.
American Alligators. We're good, so if you want to just sign off.
All right, thanks guys for checking out today's Zoo to You, and make sure you say hi to our alligator next time you're at Stone Zoo.